AKS IAS Academy. In this session, we are going to discuss the economy questions. We all know that there were around 21 questions or 20 to 21 questions which are being covered as part of economy. But in general, if you consider technicality of the questions, technical questions, we can claim that around 15 to 16 questions were the technical questions. And the other questions includes the production of tea, the production of coal, okay, and the Vietnam related questions related to GDP of this. So it's a mixture. The mixture includes the questions from political aspects, mixture includes the questions from geographical aspects. So hence we cannot claim those in purely economic questions. If you consider only purely economic questions, they are around 16 in number, which will fetch you around 30 plus marks, that is 32 marks. And everyone knew that the standard of examination has gone very, very high, especially the prelims, it has become very vague. And the candidates who are prepared very seriously for this exam, okay, following the instructions given by the academy or the faculties, would have definitely benefited, because we directed the candidates to follow mostly the things which have been covered in your classes, the class notes, etc. Okay, so make sure that for your mains do follow the same instructions to get a very good result. And remember, at AKS IAS Academy, the candidates who are going to clear this examination, okay, at the institution is giving an option for you to join the mentorship program for the mains, which is completely free of cost, so that the candidates can avail this opportunity where the mentors will guide them, okay, so that you can learn the hand-on experience in as an daily practice of the questions. And other candidates who are also given the examination, and if they feel that the prelims is not up to the mark, so do not demotivate yourself. Make sure that next time, okay, you write and you please continue your preparation. Do not take much break, the lengthier breaks and all. For example, take at least a break of a week, then come back, so that you can rejuvenate yourself. So we'll start now the first question of the Indian economy part. See, in IMF was in much news. Okay, so IMF was in news. Why was IMF in news? It is only because of the basic Article 4. IMF was in news because of Article 4. So what do you mean by Article 4? Article 4 is related to surveillance. Okay, related to surveillance. Article 4 also talks about BOP crisis. Article 4 also discusses about the multilateral, bilateral arrangements with respect to credit facilities. That means whenever IMF or a member country approaches IMF, whenever it has a balance of payment crisis, your major option is to try to rectify them as soon as possible. So in the same lines of Article 4, that is surveillance, a question was framed in exam which says that rapid financing instruments and rapid credit facilities, okay, both are related to the instant clearances of loans, okay, instant providing of, okay, the credits to basically the countries, low or least developed countries. Okay, so both comes under the concept of international monetary funding. So this was also discussed in our regular classes, and you will be having much benefit if you could go through the current affairs related aspects with respect to the topic of IMF. Now this was directly covered in news in the Hindu paper. Okay, so again the background was the Sri Lankan crisis, and also the background was related to the African continents, like continent Africa, and the countries which were suffering from the BOP crisis. Whenever they approach IMF, Article 4 says you have to clear up this BOP issues, okay, within no time. That means instant allocation of funds. Next question. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. An increase in the nominal effective exchange rate indicates appreciation of rupee. This is 100% correct. You must be knowing what is appreciation of rupee, depreciation of rupee. Appreciation in sense, you are trying to appreciate the value of your own currency. And who are involved? Supply, demand, natural forces can be involved, or Reserve Bank of India, Government of India, okay, and any of the external agencies can be involved. Based on that, we call them appreciation, revaluation, depreciation, or devaluation. So first statement is very clearly an increase in the nominal effective exchange rate indicates appreciation of rupee. There is an appreciation of rupee, then only this condition is possible. Next, an increase in the real effective exchange rate indicates an improvement in the trade components. This is again a negative aspect because your imports, you know that your imports are going to be costly, your exports are going to become cheaper. This we have discussed number of times in the regular classes. So second statement, we cannot accept it. Okay, you should have first and you shouldn't have second. So option 1 and 3. Third statement, general statement. Increasing trend in domestic inflation related to inflation in other countries is likely to cause, there is an increase in divergence. That means there could be an increase in the gap. It could be. Okay, so holistically we can accept that statement. Next, with reference to Indian economy, consider the following statement. If the inflation is too high, what do you mean by inflation is too high? Money supply is high, investments are high. Obviously, in that case, demand will go high. Prices are too high. That means inflation is very high. What is the role of RBI? We discuss in our regular classes the concept of open market operations. When there is an inflation, what will you do? You will try to produce, okay, release government securities in the market. What people will do? People will invest in government securities, actually trying to squeeze the money from the market. Who is squeezing? RBI. RBI is not buying. RBI will sell those securities in the market. There is a sale of securities in the market. So first statement itself is wrong. So when the first statement is wrong, basic elimination methods will tell you that second statement and third statement are right. But we'll also read. Interest rates in US and European Union wait to fall, that is likely to RBI both. So refer the concept of sterilization. Sterilization is a very simple concept. More imports, more exports, more flow of dollar. Okay. Next, rupee is rapidly depreciating. RBI is likely to sell dollars in the market. So obviously when the value of rupee is going down, what will you do? That means there's more rupee in the market, then you will pump dollars. People will invest in dollars. That means people are actually buying dollars. Okay, so dollar supply will increase. That will slowly appreciate the rupee. So second statement is true, and 2 and 3 is the answer. With reference to G20 common framework considered, this is again related to your Paris deal, okay, your environmental aspects, international aspects, etc. But in general, both the statements are correct. With reference to Indian economy, which of the following are inflation index bonds? This is the topic which I have taught in your regular classes, inflation index bonds. That means there could be a general bond, there could be an inflation index bond. So this is actually released in the market in order to control the inflation level. That means you will control the inflation, you will also adjust the inflation. So general bonds, I will adjust it to the inflation. For example, there is 5% inflation and the general bond is rupees 100. So I adjust this 100 rupees with this 5%. So this becomes 105, on which now interest rate will be calculated. Okay, and you will get returns. Finally, it will be taxable. So government can reduce the coupon rates on its borrowing by way of IIBs. IIBs provide protection to the investors. Obviously, when there is inflation, IIB provides protection to the investors. Next, interest received as well as capital gains on RB are not taxable. I said everything is taxable. So when it is non-taxable, you eliminate 3. So when you eliminate 3, you have only option 1 and 2. Okay, government can reduce the coupon rates. Obviously, it can reduce the coupon rates based on the inflation. It can increase the coupon rates based on deflations. Okay, with respect to its borrowings. Next, with reference to the foreign-owned e-commerce firms operating in India, which of the following is are correct? They can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platforms as marketplaces. They cannot sell their own goods. This provision is not given because we follow marketplace model. We follow basically marketplace. This is actually part of your investments infrastructure, that is with respect to your means topic, that is FDI, FIIs. So what will you do? Amazon will make one platform, manufacturer and end users like you. Amazon is trying a platform will bring the consumer and the manufacturer together so they can interact, but there's no option for the Amazon to sell its own goods there. Next, how much the manufacturer can promote? Maximum of 25%. For example, there is a Samsung. So maximum of 25% I am promoting Samsung, cannot give 100%. There is a gap of 75% which I will cover other investors. That means they can sell their own goods. No, they cannot sell their own goods. The degree to which they can own big sellers is limited. How much it is limited? 25%. So second option is correct. It is only 2. See, basically you have to follow regularly your class notes. Newspapers are quite enough to answer all the questions, 30 marks plus, because cutoff this year could be very less, and you can easily get good score when you try to answer the subject economy. Which of the following activities constitute the real sector? Okay, so when you consider transactions or when you consider sector wise, very simple, we have real sector, we have financial sector. Real sector, any sort of production activity is going on, real components are manufactured, manufacturing is going on, okay, and production is going on, farmers producing something. Financial sector, all transactions, online transactions, offline transactions, banking transactions, loans, taxes, all comes under transactions. Farmers harvesting their crops, obviously it comes under the real. Textile mills converting raw cotton into fabrics, obviously this also comes under reals. Next, commercial bank lending money to a trading company. This comes under financial, so eliminate this option. Corporate body issuing rupee denominated comes under financial. So 3 and 4 shouldn't be there. Option is 1 and 2. Very simple. Transactions, real transactions, financial transactions. Which of the following situation best reflects indirect transfers? You must have remembered I taught you in the classes about retrospective taxes. Retrospective taxes of Vodafone. Where Vodafone has won the case, Supreme Court has given its final judgment, okay, like protecting the interest of the Vodafones, that even though you have traveled a long distance of this filing of case and disputes, your transaction would have taken in UK, that is earlier it was like Hutch. So what did you do? You tried to acquire it, but not in India. But what did India said? Any sort of transactions are happening because you are trying to work in the country. That means any transactions which are made out of the country, India deserves to get capital gain tax. So Vodafone filed a case, that kind of issue happened, and finally the judgment was in favor of the Vodafone itself, that India cannot raise taxes from such transactions. Now India immediately come up with retrospective taxes, etc. So indirect transfers means both. Foreign company transfers shares and such shares derive their substantial value assets located in India. For example, Vodafone, substandard, that is substantial value from assets already located in India. Vodafone case you can take it. Trying to promote trying to get a lot of returns. Okay, so the last option is the right answer. With reference to the expenditures made by an organization or a company, which of the following statements are correct? See, any sort of asset is involved, you make it into capital. This asset can be technology, these assets can be your land, okay, and these assets can be any machinery you are making it. So acquiring new technology is capital expenditure. You are trying to acquire. When you try to enter, you have to spend money. So you spend money. So it comes under expenditure. So acquiring new technology, capital expenditure. That's true. One is true. Debt financing is considered capital expenditure, sir. Debt financing means definitely you have to clear your debts. How will you clear your debts? Assets role will be there and you'll spend money. It is part of expenditures. While equity financing, this will be part of what your shares. Shares are also your assets. When assets means how can it be considered as revenue? So eliminate revenue. So you cannot accept second statement. So only first statement is correct because shares, equities, bonds, debentures, everything comes under part of your capital only. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. This is a very, very good question. A share household financial savings goes towards the government's borrowings. Okay, a share of households financial. Household means we are the people who are called as households. What will you do? We earn income holders, we save and we invest. Okay, a share of household finance saving goes towards the government borrowings. Definitely we invest means government is borrowing. Dated securities issued at market related rates in auctions from a large component of internal debt. Remember, debt is also of two types: external debt, internal debt. External debt means you borrow mostly in dollars. Internal debt means rupee itself, but mostly from your commercial banks, private institutions, or could be individuals. Final option will be RBI. Remember, your internal debt is always higher than your external debt. Now, when you take this debt, read the question. Dated securities issued at market related rates in auctions form a large component of internal debt. Dated securities itself includes long term part of capital. For example, time period is very long, 10 years, 15 years, etc. That means they all are component. What is government doing? Government is releasing in the Indian market. People buy, people invest. So it comes under internal debt. So option both are correct. Consider the following statements. Tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserves could lead to capital fight. Remember during budget sessions, I taught you taper tantrum topic, where US will try to increase the, okay, US will try to increase the interest rates due to, inflation there, and what the investors in India, they'll try to move away. Capital flight. So tight monetary policy means interest rates will go high. Tight monetary policy of USA Federal Reserve could lead to capital fight. That means obviously the capital, that is the stocks, shares, investments will go from India to other country. So one is obviously correct. One is correct. And 2 and 3 cannot be correct now. Now, capital flight may increase the interest costs of the firms with existing external borrowings. External borrowings means you are going for any other countries. You're trying to borrow money, etc. Now, due to this, devaluation of domestic currency decreases the currency risk. It doesn't decrease. It actually increases the currency risk because decreasing the value of your own currency in order to increase the exports, but you're basically if you're an import oriented country, obviously imports will become very, very costly and it's going to impact you. So decreases the currency, in fact it will increase associated with ECBs. Why? You need to pay more. So then 3 is 100% wrong. Then it becomes 1 and 2. Consider the following statements. In India, credit rating agencies are regulated by Reserve Bank of India. See, we discussed clearly in the class. SEBI regulates credit rating agencies. For example, CRISIL, ICRA, etc. So it is SEBI who is regulating. So first statement is wrong. When first itself is wrong, please eliminate first. Answer is very simple, 2 and 3. The rating agency is popularly known as ICRA, is a public limited company. ICRA is a related public limited. Okay, true. Even if you know this BRICS work rating is an Indian credit rating agencies or not, once you eliminate one, you are going to get simple answer. With reference to the Banks Board Bureau, this topic was clearly discussed in your fiscal policy chapter. Fiscal policy chapter, where in the Ministry of Finance, there are around 4 to 5 departments. DPEM is one department, Department of Estimates, Expenditures. These 4 to 5 departments, every department is headed by secretary, and all of them, the major person who is having an experience will become a, finance secretary. So they basically it is being appointed by the government. So BBB will also be appointed by the government. So governor of RBI is the chairman. No, it's not the governor of RBI. The person who has been, been appointed by the government. So one is wrong. Now it recommends selections of head. That is very general statement. Public sector banks in developing strategies and capitalism. Even this is very, very simple statement. So answer is 2 and 3. With reference to the convertible bonds means bonds which has options to convert themselves into equity, debentures, long term, very long term. As an option to exchange the bond for the equity convertible bonds, pay a lower rate of interest. The option to convert the equity affords the bondholder degree of indexation of rising consumer price. See, whenever there is an option to exchange the bond for equity, this is what is convertibility. Convertible bonds pay a lower rate of interest. Obviously, when it is being converted, interest rates cannot be high, it has to be lower. Option to convert the equity affords the bondholder a degree of indexed rising consumer prices. That means option to convert the equity affords the bondholder a degree of indexation. That means what? He is definitely going to rising of the consumer prices. He is going to get the more benefits. So 1 is also 2. 2 is also 2. So answer has to be both. In India, which of the following is responsible for maintaining price stability by controlling inflation? Chapter number 2, monetary policy. Chapter number 2, monetary policy. In chapter number 2, monetary policy, we discuss about stability, market stability, inflation. Okay, what does RBI does in order to control the inflation? Such kind of measures are being taken. Who is taking? Reserve Bank of India. So price stability, for example, if there is an inflation, there is an increase in the prices. To control the increase in the prices, what you have to do? You have to inject certain government securities in the market so that money which is flowing at a faster pace, which is actually creating inflation, can be controlled. And what will you do? The controlled inflation price will become stable. So who is responsible for this? Reserve Bank of India is the one nodal agency which is responsible for the controlling of the prices in the market, making use of repos, reverse repos, okay, SDFs, VRRR, OMOs, sterilization, etc. With reference to non-fungible tokens, consider the following statements. See, what are these tokens? See, we will be discussing about bitcoins, blockchain technologies, okay, central bank digital currencies. We discuss n number of topics, and out of this, NFTs are one such. That means they enable the digital representation of physical assets. Definitely yes, they are going to represent on the physical assets. They are going to be an online transaction, digital representations like digital rupee. They are true. First statement is true. They are unique cryptographic tokens that exist on a blockchain. Obviously, blockchain chain of blocks will be there. Every code error which you will solve, one bitcoins will be generated. NFTs can be generated, but one NFT value will not be equal to another FT value. So this is special type of unique things which we have under NFTs. So they can be traded or exchanged, that is true, but at equivalency. What I told, NFTs, we are themselves calling NFTs because they represents one form, but their values of two individuals will not be same. So that's the reason they cannot have any equivalence. This one keyword is enough for you to make this third option to eliminate. So just eliminate third option. 1 and 2 are correct. So they enable the digital representation. It is true. Unique cryptographic, it is true. Okay. So what is that we have learned from this session? First is, these are the most important questions which have been covered from the recent newspapers. I mean, within the past 4 to 5 months, the questions have been covered from the Hindu, Indian Express, etc. What is your responsibility from here on is, do follow newspapers, follow class notes, which could be very useful for you. Okay, because most things were covered in the class notes. Most of the things were covered in the class notes. So definitely make sure that you revise your class notes always. Class notes is your most important assets. NCRTs are must. Apply them in daily newspapers. Okay. So I hope the session was very useful for you. And the people who have already calculated their marks, do not demotivate yourself. What you have to do is make sure that you take some break, okay, and come back very strongly. Start with your basic books daily, at least start with the newspapers, so that by the next budget sessions and all, you will be very good in the economy, you will be very good in S&T, very good in other subjects. Keep writing test, try to practice 1 or 2 questions in a day, mains. Take editorials, read editorials, apply them. Try to answer as many questions as you can. Take preliminary question challenges, take previous questions, try to discuss, try to solve those questions. That could be very helpful. Okay. So the other people who are getting qualified, I wish them good luck, and take the mentorship program which I have already given you the information as part of the institution, so that you can avail this the benefits which institution is giving you. Okay. I wish everyone a good luck. Okay. Thank you.